Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? I trust everybody is doing just fine. We are going to have a good one, folks. We are going to have a good one. I'm still setting up. I'm still a little bit late in getting things set up. As usual, what is new? What is new? You know, when you have all these things that you have cooking all at the same time, well, that's what happens. That's what happens. But we are here. We are here. We are here. Anyway, folks, what are we going to talk about today? Let me go over and drag my little Daily Coast thing that I posted online here. What are we going to talk about today? Today, we're going to talk about Gates and Bezos not good for America, Joe Biden shades Trump in Wisconsin, and plutocracy or democracy. Plutocracy or democracy. We're going to talk about those particular issues today, folks. But anyhow, how are all of my peeps doing today? I trust you're all well. Eric Hayes is in the house from Atascocita Kingwood. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. AVQ. El Senor Michael Rudnin from, of course, Brooklyn, New York. And we've got Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. We also have, let me see, going up. Well, I don't see anybody else to call out. I'll call you out as you join in. Eric Hayes says, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies had the man love for Brian this morning. Brian is one of our very, very conservative callers, and he called, he donated to the station at KPFT, and then after he donated he called to say his little piece, and his little piece was a positive little piece. So you see, Eric, we can all change, right? We can all change. All right, so let's go into the wordiology. We have Reuters floods in southern Brazil. Rescue efforts were interrupted and flood hit southern Brazil amid more rain. Brazil's southern state of Rio Grande do Sul is being inundated by its worst flooding in 80 years, killing 100 people and rendering thousands homeless. Rains are expected to persist over the weekend. AP, from flooding in Brazil and Houston to brutal heat in Asia, extreme weather seems nearly everywhere. In sweltering Brazil, flooding killed dozens of people and paralyzed a city of about 4 million people. Voters and politicians in India amid national elections are fainting in heat that hit as high as 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 46.3 degrees Celsius. A brutal Asian heat wave has closed schools in the Philippines, killed people in Thailand, and set records there in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Maldives and Myanmar. Record temperatures, especially at night when it just won't cool down, have hit many parts of Africa. Flooding devastation of devastated Houston, and the United States as a whole just had its second highest number of tornadoes for the month of April. In a world growing increasingly accustomed to wild weather swings, the last few days and weeks have seemingly taken those environmental extremes to a new level. Climate scientists say they are hard pressed to remember when so much of the world has had its weather on overdrive at the same time, meaning it's not an imbalance. It's all sort of coalescing all around. All you guys have to figure out, folks, is the following: why aren't we seeing a lot more of this on the TV? You know why? Because we see a lot of the storms in the United States. Tornado, if it leads, it bleeds. But remember, we have a tendency to believe only American lives matter. But if we go ahead and show the rest of the world and it's suffering through climate, think about what that is going to tell the American people who have been listening to the right wing propaganda that's been lying to them that, oh, climate change is not real or man made changes to the climate is not real. It's just a freak of nature. Of course, if we take a look at the history of the Earth, both through the ice cores and otherwise, we see that that's not the case. Or its concentration of carbon dioxide in the air is at record levels, the records we've not seen. What that means for the atmosphere has a lot to do. Likewise with methane release. I mean, there is just so much happening that none of the corporatocracy really wants us to consider or talk about, because then we'll start to have to do what we should be doing for quite a while, which is neutering the energy sector. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric K says 58% of Americans are spending more on groceries this year over last year. I would have thought that number would be 100%. Food prices have jumped 2.6% last year, which is not a bad number actually, and they were already high before that. Now that is bad. Choose where to shop wisely. 10 of the cheapest grocery stores in America. Aldi Market Basket. You know, I like Aldi. My daughter goes to Aldi's and get a whole lot of stuff. They have a limited amount of things, which means they buy a whole bunch of a limited stuff. I think that may be how they control their pricing. Market Basket, Aldi Market Basket, Winco Foods, never heard of them. Leedy Trader, I never heard of them. Joe's Little Trader Joe's, that's actually pretty expensive. Costco, I like Costco. Walmart food for less. HEB, Sam's Club. HEB has been kind of getting high on their name brand things lately. Although their name brand things are usually cheaper than their store brand is usually cheaper than the name brand stuff. But I do like HEB. I think they have a lot of good products. I like Kroger as well. I definitely love Costco, mostly because of how they treat their employees. So absolutely so. All right. Paul Fleming says, just how good are these new electric software-driven cars in China compared to their foreign competitors? Report Kevin Williams, Gaytona, USA, puts plainly, Western automakers are cooked, and a lot of this is probably their damn fault. Oops. And I believe that. I mean, again, what happened in America? When you keep patting yourself on your back, right? If you keep patting yourself on the back saying, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, everybody else is trying to catch you. But because you are stagnant in constantly stating you're the best, what generally then comes to pass is that which believed they were the best get caught. You remember the tortoise and the hare? Remember that story about the tortoise on the hare? You know, you keep on the tortoise just keep trucking, 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 methodically moving forward, and the hare goes ahead and they're happy, they're running around and playing around. We are the best, we're the best, we're the fastest. And by the time you're getting caught, it is too late. I haven't read the article, Paul Fleming, but thank you for putting that out there. I'm going to go ahead and I think I better bookmark that, and I am going to bookmark that as I speak. Let's see this to be. No, I need to edit where I'm going to bookmark it. I want to bookmark that to be read. All right, thank you for that one, Paul Fleming. All right, what else have we got here? Eric Hayes says, "Oh, politics done right. The climate stuff could be God being mad at the progressive movement." Okay, you keep believing that kind of stuff. Welcome aboard, Marxist for Biden. I think Marxist for Biden is here in Houston. Global climate change can be solved with global Marxism. Eric Hayes says store brand is fine. Yeah, I love many of the store brands. Actually, that's all I buy. I don't buy if there's a store brand for something that I want. That's what I'm getting. Eric K says Western automakers goose is cooked. I agree. Michael Renan says, I don't know about that. Figure global climate change can be solved by getting getting off of coal as sap. For as I know, there's nothing in Marxism core document that talks about climate change. And Michael says, what else? Two images for the screen. Let's see. I think I saw that you had image fish for the screen. Let me see if I can find them. Let's go here, pull that up. Oh, Lord. That's not a very nice picture for the screen, but there it goes. Monthly global surface air temperatures anomaly. Take a look at that, guys. Look at the variation in temperature going through that shebang. Look at the red line, and then look at what has happened in April. Okay, uh, that is problematic. That is very problematic. All right. And you said you had another one. I think you had them together. Let's see. What's the other one? Oh, okay, let's go ahead and put that one up on the screen as well. And this particular one shows that the average temperature is solidly going up since January of 2016. We haven't gone down to that level of January to 2016. So the incline of the curve is constantly positive. The ratio is constantly positive. That's not a good thing, but we understand that that's where we currently are. All right, what else have we got here? Let's see. Yvette is in the house. What else we've got here? I'm scrolling down, folks. Bear with me. Let's see. I'm scrolling down. Just how? Okay. UK Interior Minister James Cleverly said Wednesday that the country is expelling the Russian defense attaché, who was described by the Foreign Office as an undeclared military intelligence officer. The measure also removed a special diplomatic status from several Russian-owned properties, which the government believes have been used for intelligence purposes. Okay. What else we got here? The climate stuff could be good. No, that's not right. Okay, NPR, a new analysis shows that students graduating from the US medical schools were less likely to apply this year for residencies across specialties in states with restriction and abortion. You know, my daughter told me that was going to happen. She said the abortion issue is going to stop a whole lot of doctors from coming to red states, and it seems like it started to happen. It seems like it started to happen. All right, yep. On both air and sea, 2023 and 2024 have been off the scale, peg high. All right, and Eric K says, wrap yourself in rubber for the climate change movement. Oh my God. Don't know what that means, but I'm going to play like I didn't hear you say it. But in the meantime, folks, let's go ahead and play the only video that we have today. Joe Biden shades Donald Trump, and it was beautiful. Yesterday, I did a piece where the editor of the New York Times, Joe Kahn, he said he wasn't going to do anything to sort of prop up the president or anything of that sort, which nobody's asking him to do. And he wasn't going to try to spin any kind of story for the president, which he shouldn't. All he needs to do is tell the truth. Well, as you guys know, right now, if you were to ask the Americans in totality based on the polls, who's better for the economy and which economy was better, they have a tendency to give Donald Trump the edge. In some polls, the edge by quite a bit. But the reality of what turns around in America's economy and what's successful in America's economy, that is far from the truth. The truth is Donald Trump was a disaster. He was a disaster that was living off of borrowed time from the economy that he inherited. Now, I want you to listen to this piece here, because as it turns out, I think more visuals of this sort will show Americans that they are, in fact, remembering a con and living through something that's moving us not fast enough, but moving us forward. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side, because this is a great way that the president shaded Donald Trump. Check this out.
Artificial Intelligence Center on the very same site of a failed Trump-era project that was supposed to create tens of thousands of jobs, but never got off the ground.
It's going to be transformative, not just here, but worldwide. It's not only significant investment in infrastructure in Racine, but for the people of Racine.
The Microsoft project is expected to create 2,300 union construction jobs and more than 2,000 permanent positions. 6 years ago at the same location, then President Trump heralded a $10 billion investment by electronics manufacturer Foxconn, promising to bring 13,000 jobs to the community.
This is the eighth wonder of the world.
But the project fizzled. The field where Trump once broke ground with golden shovels, now empty.
They dug a hole with those golden shovels, and then they fell into it. Foxconn turned out to be just that, a con. Go figure.
Biden eager to sell his economic accomplishments to skeptical voters.
My predecessor made promises which he broke more than kept, left a lot of people behind in communities like Racine. On my watch, we make promises and we keep promises. And we leave no one behind.
Now, work on this new Microsoft project, we're told, is already underway. President Biden certainly well aware of that new poll out today, showing him leading Donald Trump in Wisconsin 50 to 44% in a two-way race. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has been complaining to reporters that he's stuck in court instead of.
Now, it is important for you to realize, folks, again, one thing is, I hear the reporters constantly say, well, it's about how Americans feel about the economy, how they feel about it. Well, numbers are not a feeling. Numbers are hard facts, right? That we have better healthcare, that we have a whole lot of other things now compared to under the Trump administration, that we are not allowing pandemics to just kill people, that we're doing things responsibly. All of those have economic value. And when the New York Times editor points out that he's not going to do anything to help the president, that he, in other words, they have a tendency to believe that apparently he believes that telling the truth about things the way it should be is wrong, that he's not going to do anything to make a change. Well, the only reason Americans have any inclination that Donald Trump has a positive to the economy is because of bad reporting, yes, from the New York Times and all the newspapers who don't reinforce reality. When they go ahead and hear Donald Trump says, well, the economy was very good under mine, etc., instead of reporting that like Trump says the economy was good under him, Biden says the economy is good under him. No, that's not what Americans should be hearing. Americans should be hearing from a unbiased paper, Donald Trump is lying to you, and the president is actually giving the truth. Just like we had in this little piece that we just showed there, we are building the Microsoft and the chip factories. He said he was going to build it. He said he was going to do it, but it was all a con. Again, it is not facts are facts, numbers are numbers. And when you hear a newspaper like the New York Times, the editor of the New York Times, the executive editor, Joe Kahn, talks about Americans right now, their top priority is immigration and the economy and then freedom, etc. What he is doing is he is directing the narrative and then say, well, look at what Americans are interested in. And what they're interested in is what you have promoted, newspapers. If you would tell the truth, newspapers, if you won't be scared about being called biased for telling the truth, newspapers, then we wouldn't have a problem in electing the right people. This doesn't only apply to Donald Trump versus President Biden. This applies to just about every election. It's a reason why Texas is not completely blue, because of having a completely and entirely misinformed citizenry. How can people in rural areas possibly vote for the same politician, Republican politicians, that is ensuring that their hospitals are closed, that is ensuring that they don't get the financial support that they merit from getting from the United States government, given the necessity of us having those folks in rural areas for farming, for cattle ranching, for all these other things that they provide, that this type of economy does not pay them appropriately for. The only solution to an economy that doesn't pay the farmer right, that doesn't pay the rancher right, that doesn't pay these guys based on the capitalist model is to have a system that correct for that deficiency. And that's what progressives have always stood for, have always stood for ensuring that we clean up the mess that a failed economic system that doesn't work for everybody can handle. And if these people in rural America, if Americans in general got the right information, information like what we presented here with who builds a factory, who failed to build a factory, etc., America would be more informed and we would have a better, more informed country voting in its interest. We spend a lot of absolutely so voting in its interest. Anyway, folks, let's see what we have here. Paul Fleming says an investigation by the New Mexico Attorney General into the potential dangers of meta platforms has resulted in the arrest of 3 men charged with attempted sexual abuse with children. Uh, we had 555 from E2247. We had 555 tornadoes in April. May 2023, we had 663 in April, between April and May 8th. Is the climate really messed up, or is that the whole? I don't know what that means. You have to help me out. Or is that a lie? Okay, you did help me out. Is that a lie? And a lie is wowikake. I just spoke your language. All right. Michael says, is it bad memory, propaganda, or confident talking points that pushes a false idea that Republicans are better on the economy than Democrats? The truth of the matter is that every time Republicans get political power, they screw the people and cook the books in favor of the billionaire class. Democrats are tangibly better on the economy every time they get power. That said, we still have a majority of our people who are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, there is no doubt Democrats are better are better for the economy uh, than Republicans. I mean, it's not a debatable issue, right? And the reason it's not debatable is because we have the numbers. And I can go ahead and pull an EPI report here, and it says, let me put that on the screen for you. I'm glad you put that up there, Michael Rudnin, because what I'm going to do is put it on the screen. Here is the analysis here, okay? Economic Policy Institute. Economic performance is stronger when Democrats hold the White House. The economy performs much better during Democratic presidential administration than during Republican ones. And here it says, since 1949, there has been a Democratic advantage in the average performance of key macroeconomic indicators measuring economic health, including gross domestic product, job growth, unemployment rate, growth in inflation adjusted wages, growth of market based incomes per capita, inflation, and interest rates. What we have with inflation right now is exactly what we would expect for coming out of, well, we'll talk about that. But here's another thing. The Democratic the Democratic advantage is across the board in all variables we measure, but strongest in private sector outcomes, notably business investments, job growth, and the growth of market based incomes. Household income growth adjusted for inflation was faster on average and far more equal during Democratic administrations, and the Democratic advantage show up for every group. Okay, those aren't questions. Those are the numbers, and you can always go look up the real report. Okay? So those are statements of facts. You can decide you want to accept the facts or not. All right. Paul Fleming says President Biden is quite literally fixing Donald Trump's broken promises. The question is now is, will voters notice? That's our job, Fleming. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's why you're doing what you're doing to inform, even if it means informing on your social media or elsewhere. We're all doing the job. All right. Rodnan says, Egberto, wait, what? Americans' top priority is immigration. I have to call that BS on that one. Who said that? That is what the editor of uh, what's his name? And let's go ahead and show that. I mean, that's what the editor of the New York Times executive editor said. He said that he's. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. He actually said that the the highest economic the thing that most people are concerned about right now is immigration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a scan and pull up that article that I quoted from. The semaphore, New York is not a safe space. Okay, here's the article, and it says, let me read the statement for you. Let's get there. Amy, let's see. I'm going to read that for you because we only speak. It says it's our job. This is what the editor said of the New York Times. It's our job to cover the full range of issues that people have. At the moment, democracy is one of them, but it's not the top one. Immigrations happens to be the top of the polls, and the economy and inflation is second. Should we stop covering those issues? That is from Joe Kahn, the executive editor of the New York Times. So, yeah, that's what he's saying. All right, what else have we got here? Every case is fact. Mr. V sold reserves for political reason. Fact, Mr. V is buying votes for look. Again, we don't have to ask the questions, Eric. The economy does better under Democrats than it does under Republicans. Again, we don't have to ask any other questions. We just state in the facts. Democrats are better for your economic salvation. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard, Mike, from Missouri. Egberto, the people who actually work with their hands, like I do, don't like thieves like Democrats. We don't like Democrats who dictate to us how to run our business and lives. And no, I know you don't like Democrats who are trying to help you. You like Republicans who rip you off. Republicans who give you the false sense of freedom, but actually ensure that ADM and all these other guys take the big chunk out of the agricultural budget. So you can keep playing the game with them, my dear brother CSAC. I can't we can bring you the water. We can't force you to drink it. We just cannot force you to drink it. All right, Paul Fleming says desperate for workers, but dad said against migrant workers. West Virginia, the only state with fewer residents than it had in 1940. I didn't know that. Desperate for workers, but dad said against migrant workers. It's sad, isn't it? All right, Mike Cisac Egberto, and that was the case. Why do blue states do worse economic performance and lose population? Brother, the blue states are supporting the red states. Let's get that fact. The blue states pay taxes and support the takers, the red states that are takers. You want to see those numbers? Look it up. Red states are takers, all right? They don't collect enough taxes to take care of their own, while the blue states take care of them. They are takers. They are welfare states. All right, let's get that clear. If you doubt it, let me get some information for you on that one. The red states are mostly reliant on the federal government. Here we go. 7 of 10 states most dependent on federal government are red voting, with the average red state receiving $1.05 per dollar spent. Okay? Red states are taker states. Of the states that sent more than they received, 52% were Democrat voting and 48% were Republican voting. There you go. Red states are takers. So I mean, all the things that you guys talk about, welfare and all of that, look red for you of you living in the red states. Look in the mirror. You guys are takers. Those in the blue states, support you. You're taking our dollars. Come on. I know you don't like to hear that. Unfortunately, it's amazing when you have been conned, CSAC. Economies do better under blue states, but you don't hear that in your media. Red states or get more from the federal government than blue states do. In other words, blue states are subsidizing red states, but you don't hear that. There was a piece from who had that piece a few years ago that came out, and when he told one of the right wing Republicans, "Hey, don't you know that red states pay more. The Republican didn't believe it. That's what happens when you live in your own bubble. You don't get the truth. And unfortunately, when you don't get the truth, again, you don't look that smart, right? All right, Mike C, is that gloating that Democratic policies are helping red states economically? It's funny, isn't it? Wait. Egberto, if that was the case, then why do blue states do worse economic? They don't. They don't. They're actually helping you guys. Remember that. Mike sees that gloating the Democratic policies are helping red states economically. ABC News. In the aftermath of the Inflation Reduction Act, which offered tax credits meant to incentivize private investment in clean energy, most of the new clean energy projects were located in districts represented by Republican House members, according to a study in September by advocacy group Climate Power. Beggars, welfare states again. Paul Fleming says Lincoln, unanimity is impossible. The rule of a minority as a permanent arrangement is wholly inadmissible, so that rejecting the majority principle, anarchy, or despotism is some form is all that is left. Very good quote, Paul Fleming. Very good quote. Eric Hayes says more demographics had more jobs, higher paying previously. I don't know what you're saying. We stated a fact, okay? You can try to dispute the fact, but the numbers are what they are. Mike Cisak saying, Berto, Democrats don't have a clue how to do anything, yet they push crap down our throats anyway. And that's why you depend on their money. That's why you, Mike Cisak, your state, depend on Democratic money because Democrats don't know what they're doing, right? So you depend on them to save your state. And not only that, Democrats that don't know what they're doing, their economy is much better than red states. They're the ones supported. Blue states are takers now, supported by red states. People are fleeing to red states for, oh my God. Look at the numbers, Mike Cisak. Saying it doesn't make it so. Blue states generate. Okay, let's also do another thing. You guys, when you have people making silly statements, uh, let's also fix something. Let's blow their minds even further. GDP, blue states, blue states. You guys are going to find out that your policies are just terrible for economies. All right. Uh, look at the title here. Red state economies are surging under Biden. Why? Because we're saving your butts with the all the influx in federal dollars coming into your state. Let me get to another article because which states contribute most to the GDP? Let's go ahead and print that out as well. And it turns out the state that contribute more to GDP, California 3.8 trillion, Texas 2.5, New York 2.15. Look at the combination of them and what you see. What are the statistical difference between blue states and red states? Red states had higher COVID-19 infection rates, deaths in 2021 compared to blue states. Red states implemented fewer political decisions to mitigate COVID-19. Everything that you want to know that is done wrong. Just go to the red states and you'll find out. Not too hard to find out. All right, let's go. Let's remember this. 71% of the GDP in America are blue counties. Progressive policies. 7 of top 10. Let me close that down. 7 of the top 10 dependent states are red states. So let's get it right, folks. And I think it was said then.
This is the honest way to be the fourth largest economy in the world. What are you arguing for? Mississippi's economic policy? Is that, I mean, literally, that's what you're asking for.
Me, if I wanted
the great Sam Brownback's Kansas policy, I mean, it was a debacle. No economic growth. 71% of the GDP in America are blue counties.
I would
71% of the GDP in America are blue counties. Progressive policies.
Okay, that are paying high taxes and
71% of the country's wealth. 7 of the top 10 dependent states.
Let's say you're right.
States.
Let's say you.
No, we're subsidizing your states, Sean, because of your policies.
I'm in New York. You're not subsidizing anything from me.
But your philosophy.
I'm getting the hell out of New York, though. Mississippi, Alabama, I'm all for it over.
You see, I mean, think about that, folks. I mean, he got Sean. Even Sean Hannity had to be taken aback. Again, red states are basket cases. Basket cases. Hey, Carl Cox, welcome aboard. I guess you got one more week, Carl Cox, before you graduate. All right, let's see. Eric K says, move if you want to be blue and joy. Oh boy. My Sikh says the biggest problem red states have is the legacy of Democrats' welfare state when they used to run southern. You guys have been running southern states for decades now. What excuse do you have? You've been running it for decades. Don't blame Democrats. You see how they try to flip the switch then? You guys are just lousy. Lousy in politicians. Horrendous politicians. Lee Grant says clearly red states voters are smarter than blue state voters, able to scam more dollars out of the feds. Okay, yeah, that's true. Their welfare, that's what cons do, right? That's what I mean, that's why Trump is so representative, because it's a con. All right, Michael Hernandez says, Egberto, nah, man. All I want is to uplift the people out of poverty and to give them cleaner environments so they live better. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. That's all we want to do. Paul Fleming says, Shell sold millions of carbon credits for CO2 removal that never happened via the electric V-King climate change. It's a joke. They always do that. All right, let's see what else we got. Eric says free money actually bankrupt America in progressive agenda. No, you're the guys getting free money. You're using all the people's from the blue states' monies. Try to be self-sufficient. Why can't red states be self-sufficient like the blue states? Think about it. Think about it. Why can the welfare states of the red states be self-sufficient? That's what they want everybody to be, but they're not. But they talk a lot. They talk a good game, but they are simply beggar states. But anyhow, is America a democracy or a plutocracy? Good article out by Francis Moore Lapay. I want to start it out this way. Almost 90% of the US think of ourselves as being middle class, but we are way off. In 1970, 62% of Americans did qualify, but by 2021, our shrinking middle class was down to 42%. By 2022, the value of our minimum wage has fallen by 40% since the late 60s. And our poverty rate? Our poverty rate today is at 12.4%. It's the highest among almost all 38 OECD nations. Only the newest member, Costa Rica, suffers a higher poverty rate. And let me tell you, the poverty rate in Costa Rica is not the type of poverty you have in the United States, because we grow stuff everywhere. So people just have to go get a mango off of a tree or some yucca out of the ground. That's how it is in Panama and many other countries, right? Where you have a lot of fertile land. Even though people don't have money, they don't starve. All right. So how did our view of ourselves become distorted? We were once indeed primarily middle class because we had stepped up to tackle poverty. In the late 1950s, our official poverty rate was about 22%, but Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty, that rate cut in half, hitting a low of 11% in 1973. Then Reaganism struck, and by 1983, poverty had spread to nearly 15%. And now, while our official rate is indeed lower, it is still high and misses millions struggling to meet essential needs. Our path to this sad outcome began in the 1980s, reversing the war on poverty. Reagan began dismantling welfare protections while slashing taxes on the ultra rich, capturing the tenure of the time. In the 1987 film Wall Street, Gordon Gekko declared, greed is good. That has always been false, and in fact, that is even bad for rich people. Reaganomics paved the way for today's shocking inequality. In 1978, the top 0.1% held roughly 7% of wealth. By 2018, this tiny group enjoyed about 18%. Most shocking, by 2019, America's three richest family held more wealth than the bottom half of us. And you know what? If we keep the mentality like our brothers here, let's say Eric Hayes and CSAC, who refuse to see that they're being pilfered, that will remain. Anyway, hardly a middle class nation today's concentration of wealth ought to make a Russian oligarch blush. Out of 178 countries the CIA ranks by income inequality, the US lands between Micronesia and Morocco at 56. Can you believe that? No industrial democracy is near us. The closest, New Zealand, is 31 places less extreme at 86. An additional injustice: while workers' share of national wealth has been shrinking, their productivity has soared. Between 1979 and 2017, worker productivity grew 70%, while hourly compensation rose by a meager 11%. That is theft. That is saying that as we use our intellect, work, and worth to make our economy better and get more efficient, the people that pay themselves for that efficiency are the thugs who run the corporations by giving bigger dividends, bigger tax breaks, bigger all these things. We didn't benefit it. As earnings for the bottom 90% of Americans rose by just over a fifth, the wealth of the top 0.1% grew by 343%. That's 17 times more. Thus, remember that means 17 times more mean 1700%. Thus, we shouldn't be surprised that in 2019, the bottom half of us held only 2% of the national wealth. I repeat, think about this. This is why we need a property tax on the wealthy. This is why we need a tax on wealth. 2% of Americans, or rather, the bottom 50% of Americans, the bottom 50% only owns 2% of our wealth. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that, digest that. Moreover, while American workers had to take on more hours to boost their relative stagnant earnings, and as healthcare and housing costs climbed, the wealthy increased their gains and used it to further warp our nation's democratic institutions by funding candidates and hiring lobbyists to ensure their interests were heard at the expense of ours. From 1998 to 2023 alone, dollars spent paying Washington lobbyists grew almost threefold, from $1.5 billion to $4.1 billion. Thus, when our rules are set to bring the highest return to those with the most, a market economy not only selectively rewards the already wealthy, it undercuts democracy. The pain of Reaganomics should have taught us one clear lesson. A market economy can only work for the common good within rules set democratically, free from private control, to ensure opportunity for all. The beginning of these rules would be basics such as an enforced livable minimum wage, as well as a strong and enforced antitrust laws. Such steps could move us toward a market serving the most basic freedom of all, the freedom to thrive. I mean, when you take a look at our economic system that I have already called many times a fraud, because it is a fraud, until we wake up, until our brothers and sisters like Mike Cisak and Eric Hayes stop drinking the Kool-Aid and just look at the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Look at the policies. Again, it shouldn't be hard to discern. Look in the mirror. Ask yourself, how can you support somebody like Donald Trump just on face value? How can you? How can you support policies that, make you a bigger state? How can you support policies that kills your people for lack of health insurance? How can you forgive politicians who, in as much as there are laws on the books to give every single citizen in your state health insurance, that you choose to say no, that you choose to say die quickly? I want you guys to think about that. We are our own enemies, and we will be our own salvation. Trump ain't going to save us. Biden ain't going to save us. Kennedy ain't going to save us. The only folks that are going to save us is us. We have to selectively pick the people with progressive values whose intent will always be people first. People first. People first. And when we get there, that's what we're talking about. Texas Blue Bonnet, welcome to Politics Done Right, says, it is too bad that so many people deny the greed that is staring our young people in the face. They will have it worse economically than their parents did. And I am so sad about it. I talk to my daughter about that all of the times. Carl Cox says, Mike Cisak and Eric Hayes only believe what the Russian Trump puppet masters tell them. There is some conflicts in their minds, and it is twinged with the calculated prejudice that Trump has inculcated in their minds. But again, one of these days, if I could change the belief system that I was based on, they can as well, because their belief system is simply false. It's simply smoke and mirrors. It's simply a lie. And what we do here is we come out with the valid information to let you know what really, really is the truth. And you can take it to the bank. You can take what we say here to the bank. That's who we are here. All right. And and catapulting that onto what we speak about, right? I have this other article that I want to go over called The Price We Pay for Bezos and Gates. And I'm going to just read the top and then summarize some of the theories, not theories, some of the facts that we need to get through. The price we pay for Bezos and Gates, less moral societies. The longer we let inequality define our contemporary daily lives, new research helps us understand, the more the unethical behavior all around us will seem to reflect just the way our world naturally works. Just what exactly happens when a society becomes substantially more unequal, when a few becomes fabulously richer than the many? Defenders of our deepest pockets have ready answers. What happens when wealth starts concentrating at a society's summit? Nothing we need to worry about. In fact, the richer our richest become, these cheerleaders for grand fortune posit, the better the lives of the rest of us, which is false. Which is false. Or so the American Enterprise Institute James Fitkowski would have you believe. Rather than wishing the world for a world without billionaires, as such radical thinkers do, Fitkowski declared last month, we might want to think about the immense value that uber successful entrepreneurs provide. To which I tell you, they provide little value. They provide little value. I don't have the time to go through all of that today, but what I can tell you is that it is, in fact, a scourge on our society. Gregory St. James Monday, we progressive fail to run a strong Democratic primary challenger. The choice going into general is Biden versus Trump. Biden's worst issue is his mishandling of Israel, as Israel has destroyed 400,000 buildings, killed 25,000 women and children. Trump would be even worse on Israel than Biden has been, as Trump would tell Netanyahu to finish it quickly in Gaza, regardless of the death toll. There's no care among conservatives about some brown Muslim people over there. That's how messed up it is and where we are. Biden gets my vote in November, even as I complain about genocide. Likewise, he gets my vote, and he should get the vote of anybody who has a mind sitting on their shoulders. It's not even a competition as far as it's not even close. As bad as Biden is, it's not even close. So, folks, you got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do, and we're going to do it. We are going to make sure that we are going to first get through this election. We're going to get through this election with as many progressives as we can. We're going to then force the hand of the president and others to ensure that more progressive policies gets passed, and we are going to make a difference. Anyway, folks, that is about it for the show today. I hope you enjoyed what we went through, but I want to, before we go, I want to go ahead as usual and present my ask. I want you to first know one thing. We are going to be here educating, enlightening, and learning. That is how we're going to change one person at a time. Secondly, I want you to know that I intend to give up on no one. I repeat, I intend to give up on no one. I look at every single person as someone who has the probability, the possibility of voting within or voting for their own interests. I do believe that from the depths of my heart. I want you to help us continue doing this. And the way we continue doing this is for you to continue to support a program like this. And how can you support our program? There are many ways in which you can support our program. First of all, I'm going to give you the first link, politicsdoneright.com/support. That one link has all the different ways in which you can provide support for this program. But if you want to become a patron, which gives you access to absolutely all of our books, please consider becoming a patron by going to politicsdoneright.com/patron. Patron is spelled Patreon. Patreon. Alternatively, thank you very much for those kind comments, Texas Bluebonnet. Alternatively, you can also support us by getting our books. And how can you get our books? You can buy our books, and let me put those books on the screen right now. You can buy our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. I don't make a lot on the books, but every little thing helps us continue to get the message out. politicsdoneright.com/books. Please consider supporting us by getting a book, getting several books. The other way of supporting us is by becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. How do you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and subscribe. A subscription gives you access to all of my books, a few perks that we send out several times a year, and likewise, you can read all my books on the Substack platform, and any subsequent books that I write, you will have access to them. This is hard work. This is necessary work. This is important work that depends on your support. So I ask you so kindly to go to politicsdoneright.com/support and choose one of the many different ways to support the program, or go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and please become a paid supporter of our newsletter, which makes you a paid supporter of this entire network. And if you want to see all the places that all the work that we do, if you go to politics, let me go ahead, HTTP. If you go to politics done right, let me see, doneright.com/info, that gives you all the different platforms that you see we populate every single day, that we put the work in to create TikToks, Instagram, YouTube, blogging at Daily Coast, blogging at Medium, blogging at Substack. We do it all. We even send it to Pinterest. We make sure that the message is out vibrantly all over. Let me go ahead and put that on the screen for you and show you. This is our catch-all set of links. If you take a look there, you have access to all our links, from supporting us to our books to all the different platforms that we are found on. So please support us best that you can, because in these times when not only democracy, everybody talk about democracy is in danger. It's not only democracy that's in danger, but it's also your personal economy, your finances, your books are in order. Anyway, it's that time that I need to get out of here. So I want to, first of all, I appreciate your ears. I appreciate your eyes. Thank you for listening. Please remember to share. Please remember to like. Please remember to retweet. Please remember to give a heart signal. I mean, do all of this stuff to make sure that we get our message out. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.